Hi, so today we're going to be covering the SHSAT practice test from 2019 to 2020, and we're going to be covering the math section of that test. So let's get started with the first question. Two glasses can hold the same amount of liquid. Glass A is 1/2 filled and glass B is 1/3 filled. If the liquid in glass B is poured into glass A, what fraction of glass A will then be filled? So we have glass A that is 1/2 full, and then we have a glass B, and that is 1/3 full. So that's 1/3 full, and glass A is 1/2 full. And then we're told that the liquid in glass B is poured into glass A. So basically we take this 1/3 of liquid and we add it to the liquid in glass A. So we add that 1/3. So in order to figure out how full glass A is, we simply have to add the fraction 1/2 to the fraction 1/3. And that would just be 3 plus 2 over 6, or 5/6. So that would be A. Okay. So on to 64. On Fran's map, 2 centimeters represents 3 kilometers. So 2 centimeters represents 3 kilometers. And the points on this map that represent Fran's home and Bryant State Park are 4.5 centimeters apart. So we have Fran's home right here, and we have the state park here, and we're told that they are 4.5 centimeters apart. And we're asked how many kilometers apart are Fran's home and Bryant State Park. So we have to convert this centimeters into kilometers. So we know that we have 4.5 centimeters, and we're told that so 2 centimeters represent 3 kilometers, right? So we're writing it this way with the units on the bottom, the centimeter unit on the bottom, so that it cancels out with the 4.5 centimeters. So then these units cancel out, and then we just do the multiplication, and we would get, let's see, so 4.5 divided by 2 is about 2.25, times 3 is 6.75. So that's closest to 7. Another way you could do this would be using like proportions. So 2 centimeters is 3 kilometers, and you're trying to figure out how much 4.5 centimeters is. So you could also do it that way and get the same result. Okay, 65. So we're being asked to solve for x in terms of y given this. So right now we have y in terms of x, and we want to solve for x in terms of y. So we want to isolate first this 2x. So we're going to subtract 4 from both sides. So we would get 2x is equal to y minus 4. And then we would divide by 2 to get x equals y minus 4 over 2, which is answer choice A. Okay. Number 66. So Brian completed a 100-meter race in this amount of time, and Luis completed the same race in slightly less time. What was the difference between their times expressed as a fraction of a second? So we just want to take the difference between their times, so the difference between this and this. So it would be 11.74 minus 11.69 which is just 0.05. And we're being asked to express that as a fraction, so that would just be 1 over 20. Right, you could take this and do 5 over 100, which is 1 over 20. So that would be E. Okay, 67. So a recipe uses this amount of salt and this amount of sugar. So 1/4 teaspoon of salt and 2 1/2 teaspoons of sugar. What is the ratio of salt to sugar in this recipe? Okay, so we see that each of these start with 1, so this is the amount of salt. So we can set a proportion here. So we have 1/4 teaspoon of salt is to 2 1/2 teaspoons of sugar, and then we know that the ratio of salt that we're looking for is 1 teaspoon, right? Because each of these start with 1. So 1 teaspoon of salt, and then a certain amount of sugar that we're looking for. So to find that amount, we can cross multiply. So we would get 2 1/2 times 1 divided by 1/4. Right, so I'm multiplying these terms, and then I'm dividing by the 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And so we would get, that would be 5/2 times 4, which is just 10. So the ratio would be 1 to 10, therefore. Okay. So we're being asked what the value of n is expressed as a fraction. So we see that this 0.13 is right now a decimal, and we're asked to add it to this fraction. So we can take this 0.13 and express it as 13 over 100, and then keep the other fraction, 207 over 100. And then we just add these together. So that's 13 plus 207 would be 220 over 100. And now we have to simplify this. So we can divide both by 10 to get 22 over 10. And then both of these are divisible by 2, so that would just be 11 over 5, which is F. Okay, 69. So we have the perimeter of a 12-sided polygon, and we're told that it's 100 centimeters. And the length of one side of this polygon is 25 centimeters, whereas the length of another side of it is 35 centimeters. And then we're told that the remaining sides are equal in length to one another, and we're being asked what that length is. So we know that we have one side that's equal to 25 centimeters, and then another that's 35. And then I'm going to represent the length of the remaining side as L. So we know that if we have a 12-sided polygon and one of the sides is 25 centimeters and the other is 35 centimeters, then we have 10 more sides left. So we have 10 sides left, and each of those has a length of L, and the total length is equal to 100 centimeters. So then we can isolate the 10L by subtracting 25 plus 35, so subtracting 60 from both sides. So that would be 10L is equal to 40, and therefore L is 4. So that would be A. Okay. So Xiao Chen has a box that contains 4 green cards, 7 yellow cards, and 6 red cards. She randomly draws 1 card at a time from the box and does not return the cards to the box after they have been drawn. Okay, so she's not replacing the cards after they've been drawn. The first card she draws is yellow. The second card is green. And what is the probability that the third card will also be green? So we have to look at what cards are left after she draws the first and second card. So the first card she draws is going to be yellow. So I'm going to keep track of the total number of cards and the amount of yellow cards and red cards and green cards. Right, and it'll be right, okay. So initially the total number of cards is going to be 7 plus 6 plus 4. So that's just 17, right? And the amount of yellow cards initially is 7. The amount of red cards are 6. And the amount of green cards are 4. So now she draws a yellow card. So the number of yellow cards will go from 7 to 6, and the total number of cards goes from 17 to 16. And then the second card that she draws is green. So the number of green cards will go to 3, and the total number of cards will go to 15. And we want to know now the probability that the third card will also be green. So we have 3 green cards left over 15 total cards left. So that probability will be 1 over 5. Okay, so on to 71. Each number in a sequence is 3 more than twice the number that comes just before it. So if we have, let's say, the nth number in a sequence, it'll be 3 more than twice the previous number. Right, so if a of n minus 1 is the previous number, then to get a of n, we need to double it and add 3 to it. Right? That's what this is saying, 3 more than twice the number. So if 93 is a number in the sequence, what number comes just before it? So we know that, actually this might be more confusing than helpful. So I'm going to call, so we know that we got 93 by taking the previous number, right? So the previous number and doubling it and adding 3 to it, right? So now we just need to solve for p. So we can do that by subtracting 3 from both sides. And we would get 90 is 2p. And therefore p is 45. Right, so basically what we said is we know that if we want to get the number before 93, then we know that each number in the sequence is obtained by taking the previous number, doubling it, and then adding 3. So if we can solve for the previous number by isolating it. And by isolating it, we get that previous number is 45. Okay. On a map, the distance between Deshawn's house and Zing's house is 5.4 inches. If 2 inches on the map represents 3 miles, what is the distance between these 2 houses in miles? So this is another proportions question. So we have 2 inches is the same as 3 miles, or is proportional, I guess. So 2 inches to 3 miles. And then we know that on the map, the distance between the 2 houses is 5.4 inches. And we want to know what that distance is going to be in miles. So that's our question mark. So to solve for the question mark, we do our cross multiplication. So 3 times 5.4 over 2 and that would be, let's see, so 5.4 over 2 is 2.7, and then that is 8.1. So that would be H. Okay, 73, so we have a wheel with 15 spokes, and they're equally spaced, and we want to know what the measure is of the angle between adjacent spokes. So we know that the entire angle must be 360 degrees, right, because it goes all the way around. And then we know that there are 15 angles that are made by these spokes, and that given that they are equally spaced, each angle, so if this is one angle, it must be equal to this angle. So let's call this angle theta, then that must also be theta, and you're going to have 15 thetas as you go all the way around, because there are 15 equally spaced spokes. So it would be 15 times theta, and so we can solve for theta by dividing 360 by 15, and we would get, let's see, so that would be 24 degrees. And that would be the angle made by adjacent spokes. And we're going to stop our video there. We'll continue next time.